I remember one normal day at my job, I got a notification. Bear in mind, at this point, I did have somewhat of a presence on social media. But when I looked down at my phone, it was a payment from Disney of £2,000 for a sponsorship video that I had made with them. Now, of course, I had worked on this platform for about a solid 2 years, which was TikTok, but that was still a lot of money from one single video. And in that moment, I had made the same amount of money that I would do working a whole month at my job. And although I'm explaining this story from a positive light, I want you to know that what I was doing wasn't very sustainable. In fact, I was digging myself a hole, because on one side I had a stable job, and then on the other side I was earning money, but it wasn't reliable income. And if you are an online creative, this video is going to be extremely useful, so I recommend staying till the end. Now, I have nothing against sponsorships as long as what you are promoting is something you are a user of, right? Sponsorships should complement your life. If you meditate, a meditation app that you use could be a great partnership. If you have a website and you enjoy their services, the website provider could be a great partnership. If you buy most of your clothes from one designer, that could be a great partnership. Sponsorships should align with your lifestyle. But again, as a creative, sponsorship shouldn't be the only thing that you rely on. This is a big mistake. In this video, you will understand why, and by the end, what the better alternative is. I'm talking on all of this from experience. You have this cushy job that isn't easy, but it isn't hard. What actually makes the job hard isn't the work itself, like most people would assume. It's the feeling of, I could be doing something better. But then if you do approach creativity and pursuing your own work, like being a digital entrepreneur, someone who creates valuable stuff on the internet, you will quickly realize that that option takes more of your freedom than the cushy job itself. So you're stuck in a trap between the two. There's a lot to be said about this, because if you don't see staying in your job, your current reality, as a bad thing, you will never take the leap of faith. It's good enough is what makes you stay there. It isn't easy, but it isn't hard. It's exactly the type of mindset that kills ambition. But remember that feeling of doing better and reaching your full potential? That will always be there, and it will eat you inside out until you start taking small steps towards the version of you that you are visualizing deeply in your subconscious mind. What you want and what the ideal situation is to create freely and do so by monetizing. You want to act on your creative interests while monetizing so that you can actually make a living. But if done well, meaning if you have knowledge on social media, marketing, branding, persuasion, the foundations, then you can make a big living out of it. But that's not what happens with most creators. What happens is that you leave your job and then you solely rely on things like platform money and sponsorships, completely throwing away your freedom yet again. Here I want to paint a clear picture of what happens. You are placing yourself in the same place as you were before. It's the same thing as your job. An external entity outside of your control is paying you and giving you a living. So you throw away your freedom out the window yet again. Due to this financial need to survive, you start promoting things you don't even want to. You start investing your time and energy into making videos for brands that you don't even buy from. Again, if it's something that you use and want to promote, there is no problem. But the likeliness of your favorite brands sponsoring you every single time is low. I want to drill this idea into your mind that it's not about money. I'm talking about freedom. The only reason you chase money is for the freedom of it. You had money at your job. You didn't feel right. You're not going to feel right doing the same thing here. In simpler terms, it's about the level of control that you have. I don't care what you think. You can believe that you are doing it for materialistic possessions or status, but if you are wise enough, you will understand that those things become meaningless very quickly. What you actually want is the freedom to act on your creative interests regardless of the money. And in that process, to find a reliable method of monetization so that you can keep doing it. I'm somewhat mad because I didn't have someone like me telling me this. What I had was public figures such as Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, who, although does give great advice, also gives advice such as post 10 times a day. Even if you can make 10 videos a day, don't, because those who do have an entire team behind them. But also when you post 10 times a day, there's a high chance that a few of those videos were videos that you didn't even want to create. Posting 10 times a day might be an option for a rare few, but for the majority, it isn't. You don't need to post 10 times a day. You need a system that works on autopilot. You don't need to work hard for your content. You need a system where your content works hard for you. I will say this again, and please understand that if you do have this mindset, and yes, it is a mindset, and you are gearing your entire livelihood on either a platform paying you or sponsorships, you will end up exactly where you were at your job. No creativity, no freedom, no control. So talking about creativity, where do we start? How do we be creative? But also in that, get across authenticity in that value. Because that's all there is to social media. You are providing value within your creativity and bringing your unique perspective with that value. And the first place to start is to never, and I mean never, allow other people to tell you how or what to create. This is the reason why a ton of brand deals will throw you off course, because then you start producing content to land brand deals rather than producing content to create value. Don't create with the hopes of getting something. Create to give. Don't formulate your videos because a brand may like them. Formulate them to reach your audience, an ideal avatar. This is how you don't make something you love to do into something you have to do. This is hard because everyone is fighting for attention. And when you go the attention route, you do stuff you don't want to. The forefront of everything on social media is indeed attention. The new economy is the attention economy. But where most creators go wrong is they fight for the attention but can't hold it. Holding attention is where the real value is given. Don't invest too much into the platforms because the platforms don't care about you. They care about the attention that you bring. Again, here's a question for you. Are you chasing attention or are you chasing creativity? If you're chasing attention, I guarantee you'll lose the thing you love. Because the number one way to ruin your creative spirit is to place expectations on it. When you begin to think things like, the audience has to love it, you've placed an expectation on your creativity. The goal is for your hobby, whatever it is, to become a career or a business. I really want to get this message across. The success will come, but first, build the solid foundation of honing in on your creative spirit or vision. And remember, once the entire thing is no longer fun, you've allowed the outside world to get into your process. If you're asking, what do I do if it's the attention economy? Do I not chase it? What I would say is don't chase attention, create it. Stay grounded in your why. There's always a solid why prior to a start. Always go back to the drawing board. Why did you start creating in the first place? Who are you creating for? Every secret lies there. Go internal. Do this by looking at your goals. If you don't have one, then set a goal for the future. Think and contemplate on how your curiosities and interests can get you to that goal. It's funny because the word creator is everywhere. But as soon as a creator produces something with his own two hands, like a knowledge-packed course, that creator is immediately demonized. Of course you know what I'm going to say. Completely, intentionally ignore them. Build your own stuff. We'll get to that later on, but build something for your former self. Something you wish to see in the world, but isn't here yet. How do you do this? You pursue a project. When you pursue a project, specific problems arise. When specific problems arise, you solve them with your unique approach. When you solve a problem with your unique approach, you hold value. And when you hold value, there are people out there who are 2 or 3 steps behind you that will pay you for that value. If you have a problem, others have it too. So create what you love, but solve problems along the way. See it as a fun game that you're a part of, a fun project. But remember to be you in the process. Authenticity is super important. People don't buy into your products, they buy into you. They purchase from you because of you. I've made a video on authenticity where I shared deep concepts on how to be your true self. So if you haven't already, go check that out. But moving on, I started making videos on TikTok in 2020 because I was heavily into film at the time. But now I'm not heavily into film. I've evolved from that interest. Is that a bad thing? No. People evolve. If you don't evolve from your interest, that's where the trouble actually begins. But even in that experience, when I started making those videos, I would just make them for fun. I would enjoy the process. But as soon as the audience and opportunities came, the joy fell because now there was an expectation, you see. But I don't care. I personally want to create what I want to create, which is why I'm very active on Substack and YouTube right now. This goes for every true creator. If you look at the biggest influencers, although we shouldn't mention influencers because influencers don't provide value, but let's just use the example for the sake of this argument. KSI started off on YouTube with gaming. Then he went into boxing, and now he's in business producing his own products. Do you see how he pivoted with his interests? Your social media presence evolves with you. Your content evolves with you. Don't be afraid to pivot with your interests. To make everything easier, I want you to create as if you are creating a film. What happens in a film? You have writers, producers, directors, actors, but now see it as you are all of it. The only one is just you. You are the writer, producer, editor, etc. At least at the very beginning. And if you're extremely unsure about monetization, again, money always equals to value. Focus on bringing value. Monetization is important. Even in films, they're doing it for box office money. So even in entertainment, they're seeing it as a business. That's what you need to do. There is no money without value, and there is no value without money. All of it should be fun. Money is the byproduct. Make the process feel like play. People who say content creation has become the new 9 to 5 are only saying that because they're treating it like one. You think you have to be somewhere at a certain time. No, make a routine. Routine is good. Schedule stuff. Scheduling is good. But ensure that it is how you want it to be. Unlike a 9 to 5 where you don't get to decide. That was a lot, so let's do a quick recap before I give you some final actionable solutions. Your job and sponsorships are the same thing. Only do sponsorships that align with your lifestyle. Promote what you use. You're never really chasing money, you're chasing the freedom that it brings. Don't post 10 times a day. Build content systems that run on autopilot and work for you. The new economy is the attention economy, but don't fight for it. Capture and sustain it. If the fun is missing, you've let the outside world interfere with your process. Your content evolves with you. Pivot your content with your current interests. A personal brand is like creating a film where you've got full control. There are 2 final recommendations that I want to give you. The first is to act on your creative interests, but systemize it. This is important. Every business which operates well has an undeniable system behind it. Create your own systems for writing, filming, editing, etc. I've got my own timetable. I only post on YouTube on the weekends. This is because I spend the start of the week writing both short form and long form content, and then keep the weekends for recording purposes. On the Sunday, the YouTube video gets uploaded and the written version of it goes out as a newsletter to those who have subscribed to it. I also spend the weekends at the moment building digital products. But place your focus on building systems. A lot of creators confuse the process. There is no one platform to post on. There is no right platform. There is just one content that goes out to all platforms. One content, all platforms. If you are a beginner, what I would say is just start creating on whichever platform that you're most active on. Start building your skills in writing, speaking, branding, marketing, persuasion. Talk about whatever you want because you're growing a community, not a following. Win trust, community, and friendship to win in the game. And finally, the second is to build and sell your own stuff. As you come across problems, you come across value that is on the other side if you do solve that problem. Remember the word freedom? This is the only way to have true freedom. To solve a current problem in your life and sell the solution via value to those who need it. So create, but also build your own stuff. Again, create systems for when you promote. Create a promotion schedule. For example, I'm going to promote on this day. And remember, at the forefront of an irreplaceable personal brand is authenticity. That's all from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. All of my links are down in the description, and I'll see you on the next one.